Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Rei-Lin and I'm back with some more Secret World today. Just wanted to do a quick overview of some of the gearing as you go through the game. I didn't want to go over too specific, but I kind of need to because I think a lot of people are more or less confused as hell. I mentioned it in the last video, how things have changed since the Secret World, and they've basically changed how everything works when it comes to upgrading your gear. So I kind of wanted to jump right in and explain sort of how things are working with this upgrade system when it comes to your talismans and your weapons. Now, the basic idea is that it goes through a progression system between the quality and the pips, as they call them. These dots underneath these, everything. Basically, everything has a pip except for the signets. The pips are basically how powerful it is. This is crude, and then it goes to intricate, and then it'll go up to something other than that. It just keeps going up. Intricate, and then like radiant. This is like how you have radiant ashes here. This doesn't start off as radiant. It's only radiant because it's 3 pips. You don't have to really worry about the suffixes. Just know that the higher the pips, at 3 is the best, 2 is middle ground, and 1 is the lowest. And then they have the colors. You see that this is yellow, and this is purple, this is a green. It's just like World of Warcraft when it comes to the coloring system. You have a green, and then you have a blue, and then you have a purple, and then you have a yellow, which is mythic, and then you have red, which is legendary. So basically the way this is going to work is that anything that you want to empower needs to be of the same kind of thing. So this is a talisman. Now, it doesn't matter that it's a head talisman or whatever kind of talisman. You need to have another talisman to go down here into the empowerment. Now, this is a head talisman. Now, you see, I've matched a head talisman with a head talisman, and it turns blue. That means you're going to gain 2.5 times normal experience. This doesn't care what kind of talisman you throw in there, just that it is a talisman. Now, if you get specific and it matches, so it's a head talisman with a head talisman, you get a bigger boost. Weapons work the same way, except that the weapons don't care that it matches or not. It just needs to match the type to get the bonus. So if I went right there and used a weapon bag, sure, it's elemental focus. Okay, you see, I'm not going to gain this. Only if it's another hammer will I get the 2.5 times experience. I assemble, I gain a little bit of experience. Now, if I was to get a hammer, and it doesn't look like I'm going to, you can just throw it in there, and you see I'm gaining just a little tiny bit of experience, extra 100 experience. You heard that. That's a critical empowerment. Basically, what that means is that it gives you 50% more experience if it critically hits, basically. And so, all you have to worry about is that you're throwing the same kinds of stuff in there, and that if it matches the type, that you're going to get 2.5 times the experience. So obviously throwing in 5 things that all are head talismans, it's going to give you a much higher boost to the experience of leveling it up than if you didn't. Now the quality, like I said, of a green head talisman, for example, this is going to max out at level 20 because it's a green. Now every time it goes up in quality, the amount that it can go up on its levels also goes up. So the green will max out at 20, the blue 25, the purple at 30. I'm not even sure where the mythic stops. I think it goes up to 40, and then the legendary I think is 50. So it takes a very long time to get these maxed out. Now the greens don't take that long, and once you've got it at level 20, the only other thing you can do is fuse it. Now once it's maxed out and you're ready to fuse, the only way you can fuse this and this, well, there's 2 ways. You can Wallet Warrior it and use this as a glyph fusion. I could use 1500 Aurum and use this, throw it in there, and this will go up to a blue level 1 head talisman. But I don't want to spend any money. So what do? Well, you have to find another glyph or talisman just like this. You have to find another head talisman and then level it up to 20 and then fuse them together. The pips, as you can see, this is only a 2 pip. The pips don't matter. when it comes to fusing. All that matters is that it's the same thing. Now, that's what makes it a little bit hard to fuse this stuff. It has to be the same type of thing. So, like, this is a radiant bracelet. The only way I can move this from a level 30 purple to a level 1 mythic at this point is that I have to find another radiant bracelet, get it to level 30 purple, and then I can fuse it and make a level 1 mythic. It'll go up in the quality. So you need 2 matching items of the same quality, not the same pips, but the same color of rarity, I should say. The quality is the pips, the rarity is the color. So as long as you keep that in mind, it makes this make a lot more sense in the long run. And every time, like I said, it has to be a maximum level. You cannot fuse anything together unless it is maxed out. Now, there are things that you gain with each one of these. You see, this has a glyph slot. It also has a signet slot. They'll gain those as they level if they don't have one naturally. Once you get to purple, you'll have a glyph slot and a signet slot. Glyphs work a little bit differently, but mainly the same idea is still there. Now, if you're wanting to fuse 2 glyphs together to make them more powerful, like I've got 2 purple ones right here. I've got a crude fierce glyph. This isn't a 3 pip, but I don't care right now. Since this is purple, now glyphs always max out at 20. It doesn't matter what their rarity is. It only matters that they max out at level 20. So you're not going to be in the same boat as your talismans and your weapons. Glyphs will be at level 20. So I need this to be a level 20 crude fierce glyph. And I would need this one to also be a level 20 crude fierce glyph. Then I can take these 2 crude level 20 purple fierce glyphs and fuse them together, and it will suddenly become a level 1 mythic crude fierce glyph. So does that make more sense? Probably clear as mud. Your empowerment is just to level it up. Once it's maxed out, you need to have items that match each other to fuse them together. The weapons are the only ones where you don't need the same exact thing, because some of these would take you forever to find an exact match. And some of these, like say my shotgun, because I was using the Shadowbound shotgun, which you only got through an event that they held before the game came out, so it's impossible for me to find another one of these Shadowbound shotguns unless they add it to the store or some kind of buyable thing or another event. So I could never fuse this with anything because I wouldn't be able to match it. That's why the weapons don't care. So if I want to get this fist weapon to mythic, I just need to have a fist weapon that is purple and level 20, and that is it. Well, in this case it would be level 30 because purple's max out at 30. So just keep that in mind. From green is 20, blue goes up to 25, purple maxes out at 30, and so on. They need to be at max level, and you'll know that they're at max level because it says right here on the bar, max level. So this one already has a simple fierce glyph at level 20. Now if I wanted that simple fierce glyph to be purple, I could pull this out. You don't have to pull it out, but to make it easier, you could recover this. You could pull it out and it'll be a level 20 blue crude or simple fierce glyph. If I had another blue simple fierce glyph at level 20, I could fuse it and I would have a purple level 1 simple fierce glyph. So that is the basic idea of how you're going to do your upgrading. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind with all of these upgrades is that they slow down dramatically once you get above blue. The green and blue goes pretty quick. You can use your loot bags. As you can see, I have tons of loot bags. This is just from questing and doing my dailies. You get tons of stuff, but it's completely random what you're going to get. Now, at green and blue, maybe 15 weapons, if you were, say, doing a weapon. 15, 20 weapons might get you halfway to 20. And then once you go up to a blue, you might need 30 or 40 weapons to get up to 25. And once it goes purple, you might need 100 weapons that you are empowering to get up to level 30. So it's going to take you a long time. So after you've had a few levels in the game, maybe once you've hit 25, level 30, 35, somewhere in that ideal range, I should say, that you want to start focus firing on what weapons are really interesting to you and which ones you're sort of going to keep with you and go for the end game. I would start sooner than later, but as you're leveling, there's something you should focus on. Mainly attack rating and critical chance. So any glyphs that up your critical hit chance, and any of these that give you attack rating. Like this is Radiant Ashes. So the head talisman, this has attack rating on it. I have a few in here because I was messing around with different things. Like this Radiant Medallion. This neck talisman has health on it and not crit rating or attack rating. So you want to make sure that you start focusing on getting your critical chance up, because a lot of things use critical chance for other effects. Maybe, chance on crit. Every time you crit, you gain protection, you gain health, you gain attack power, whatever it is. A lot of the game is universal for all of the weapons with critical chance. The more critical chance you have, the more likely a lot of your skills and abilities are going to be able to take advantage of it. So early on, if it has attack rating on it, and you find some critical rating glyphs, just start shoving those suckers in there and equipping them and start to upgrade them a little by little. But as you get, like I said, closer to the end game, you want to start to focus a little bit more on what your role is going to be. Whether it's a tank, it's a DPS, or it's a healer. Because a lot of what you're going to start equipping at that point changes quite drastically. And a lot of the stuff like the glyphs and especially the signets are very rare and hard to come by and expensive. Even if you find what you're looking for on the auction house, some of the stuff on there is $500,000 marks of favor, which are hard to come by because you're kind of capped on how much you get per day. Unless you find a lot of stuff and you sell a lot of stuff in the auction house, you're sort of limited to what you can get. So you got to keep in mind that as you get closer to that end game, you want to start focusing on things. The idea that I'm going to be a particular role, and start focusing on the gear that you need for that role. Me, I would probably go mainly DPS. So the general consensus right now is people have started to theory craft a lot of the numbers, and people are getting level 50 and they're starting to run raids in the lairs. The general idea right now is that you max out a hit glyph, like what I've got here is an intricate accurate glyph. It's only level 2 mythic. By the time it gets to a level 50 legendary, it'll give me enough hit rating that is the only hit rating that I will need in anything of my gear. So 1 hit and then 5 critical rating and 2 crit power in all of your gear. And that should be what you're focusing on if you're going to be a DPS at end game. Now, when it comes to tanking, it's kind of still up in the air as between whether you want a high glance chance, you want to focus on, making yourself hard to hit, or making yourself really high defense, or if you want to make yourself really high health. They all have its strength and weakness, and right now there is still a debate going on which is best. Now, generally when it comes to that, defense, health, glance, you need to focus on one and pretty much put all of your eggs in one basket and go all in on whatever that one thing is. Now, I'm not a tank, and I've never really been a tank in this game, so I don't really want to be throwing around a lot of false info when it comes to tanking gear. I'm mainly going with the DPS approach and hoping that we can find tanks later on when me and my friends need them. So, yeah, that in general is pretty much how the upgrades work in the game. And as you're leveling, like I said, put on critical rating gear, put on stuff that has attack rating. Stuff at the lower levels, they don't really have enough health to have a long, drawn-out fight. And you don't need that much healing. Well, you won't need that much health as long as you have some healing on a backup weapon or a backup skill. And so early on, it's better just to hit really hard and be sort of glass cannon than it is to run around with a lot of defensive stats and take all day to kill stuff. Now, as you reach into Transylvania and later on into the further in the game, they're starting to get more and more mobs where you're fighting 4, 5, 6 things at once. Then you might want to start switching more to having a little more health and a little bit less crit. But towards the end game, you're really going to need to focus on having one item, one talisman with hit rating, 5 with critical rating, and 2 with crit power rating. At least for now. That is in general what people have theory crafted up to this point. And I have to say that after I get my stuff, I'm still gearing myself. I'm still making adjustments. You know, this is not optimized in any way. That I think I can see where they're heading with that, because I'm already hitting very, very hard, and it's really hard for me to die. I mean, rarely ever have I died unless it was to a mechanic that I didn't understand. And outside of that, I've been having a blast, really, and I think that I just had a good intuition about what I should be building, and now that I've kind of got a direction, it's going to get easier from there. But just keep in mind that upgrading your gear is a slow process. Once you get up to the purples, it really does slow down. So don't think that you need to have all yellows to do any of the content. There are people that have even less than me that are doing content that I have yet to even do. So just keep that in mind, that it is kind of a slow process, and it needs to be, because that's sort of what your end game is kind of upgrading your stuff and getting that little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more powerful as you go along. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to point out how the upgrade system does in fact work, and kind of what you're shooting for as you start leading at least towards the DPS side of things, towards level 50. And just keep in mind what I said about needing to have the same things to upgrade, even when it comes to the glyphs and even the signets. They all upgrade and they fuse together to go up a rank in quality, and that's kind of what you're after here, is to ultimately get to this being red and being a legendary. So hopefully maybe by the next video I might have a legendary, but it's going to be a really long journey, because this stuff really slows down, like I said, once you hit purple. But hey, that's just me, and you can always wallet warrior your way through quite a bit of the content, but when it gets to this point, you're kind of stuck doing it the old-fashioned way. A lot of hard work and some time. Anyway, I hope that helped. If you enjoyed the video, please press the like button down below. It does help out my channel. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, you can click down at the bottom of your screen right now, and that'll get you the latest update every time I go live with a new video. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care, and I'll talk to you all next time.